Hi, welcome to the Mohua Show. My name is Mohua Chinappa and I am an author, entrepreneur, and ex-housewife. This podcast is about everything from business to technology to arts to lifestyle, but done and spoken ईमानदारी से. Hi, in today's episode, we have Yewande. Yewande is a lawyer with over 8 years of experience. She spends her spare time writing. Yewande hates injustice and believes in fair play and equal opportunities for everyone. For this reason, she is passionate about the rights of the vulnerable groups within society. Through her writing, she speaks to the voiceless and those that are experiencing any form of injustice or discrimination. Over the past year, she developed particular interest in the rights of women and girls. Yewande's article, the title, The Horrifying Practice of Breast Ironing, is what caught my attention. It read, reasons for breast ironing. The general presumption of those that adopt this ritual is that by melting the fat in a girl's breast, it will prevent her from attracting male attention, which could lead to unwanted sexual advances, rape, harassment, teenage pregnancy, and even early marriages. Would you say, Yewande, that mothers are primarily the cause of sexist bias in early childhood among girls?
Hi, thank you so much for having me on your show. And to answer your question, yes, I agree. Mothers play a very great role. They play a great role in the lives of their girls. And most times you find out that is what they tell their girls that their girls tend to follow, because that they are like the first role models in the lives of their children. And usually in Africa, when it has to do with African culture, there are some particular stereotypes that once the mother believes it, she inculcates it into the lives of her children, particularly the girls. And what she tells them is what they do. Because if that wasn't the case, we wouldn't be having issues like this on breast ironing. And, it's not just breast ironing, it cuts across a whole spectrum. You have other incidents of female genital mutilation. You have just a whole lot of issues where it primarily starts with the mother. And in most cases, out of fear, out of submission, the mother is overwhelmed and she practices these customs, not minding if they would have a very bad effect on the lives of her children.
Genital mutilation is also heard in India, among a certain sect of people, and it's also considered a ritual for young girls. And of course, they're always caught, unaware, and it's always done, in without a doctor, without any, medical. The practice is horrifying, but while we talk about these things, it's unbelievable, what is happening, the world around us. When you wrote this article about breast ironing, tell us a little bit more about the research that you did, the kind of people you met, and what are the findings that you had. That would be fantastic for our listeners, to hear it from you.
Thank you. So when I started this research on breast ironing, so to give a little background, so I was just looking for a topic that nobody talks about that needs more attention. And that's how I came across this breast ironing. And it was quite horrifying to know that this practice has actually been in existence for years. And, literally nobody was talking about it. But in 2006, there was this German professor that wrote on it. And that's how it began to receive international attention across the world. And in countries, it's very prevalent in some particular African countries, like you have Cameroon, you have Benin, you have Kenya, you have Togo. It happens in these countries. And what happens? So what is breast ironing all about? The mothers flatten the fat in the breast of their girls. And it's not just the mothers, it could be their grandmothers, it could be midwives, it could be female relatives, it could be anybody within the family that is female, who engages these young girls. And they usually target girls between the ages of 8 and 14. Once they reach puberty, these women begin to carry out this horrifying breast ironing on these girls. And what do? They use a belt or they use a cloth. They tie it round the chest of the girl. And in that way, they melt the fat. And this is usually done on a very daily basis because it's not just once. So once this happens, the breast begins to go in to where it came from.
So they use a cloth and they bandage the whole breast.
They bandage the whole breast from the
so that it doesn't grow.
Yes, so that it doesn't grow. That's
And they also use a belt, on
yes,
the breast when a girl is at
exactly,
about 8 to 14. Okay.
exactly. And in other cases, they could use a stone, a pistol, or an electric iron. So when they do this, they put it in the fire, hot fire, and when it's hot, they just put it on the chest of the girl. And you can imagine from what I'm saying that it's definitely not a very pleasant experience because it comes with pain, it comes with bruises, it's pure torture. And so many girls have gone through this for so many years. In fact, the United Nations reports that over 3.8 million females have gone through this all over the world, and many of them, they're mostly Africans. And it's not restricted to Africa alone because due to migration, people have moved, so they are still doing it within their homes outside Africa, particularly Africans in diaspora, in America, in Europe. These people still do these things. And there's so much attached to it because even in some cases, it's not just the mothers that do it, the females in the house. A girl could also do it by herself, but some people do it for other purposes. But for this particular purpose, we are looking at it being done on young girls attaining the age of puberty. Now, why do they do this? We can put so many reasons to it. Number one, in African societies, many of these societies, they hold firm the values of virginity and chastity.
That's every way, Yewande. Virginity and
Exactly.
chastity is something that girls have been held to ransom with forever. And
Exactly.
yes, this not at all isolated to Africa alone. It is spread across the world. I think it's just now that the world is now changing, but chastity and virginity uh, is like a treasure that you keep just for the man you get married to, whereas the man may have had
It is.
multiple women and affairs, and he would have had a gala time. I mean, it's disgusting. But yeah, tell me more.
Okay, so we're talking about why this happens, and I talked about the fact that in African society we value virginity and we value chastity. So in most African homes, you're a young girl, you're growing as you attain the age of puberty. It's expected that you take your education seriously, you go to school, you attain that degree before you start thinking about marriage. So this is something that mothers have held for so long, and they usually don't want anything to spoil that dream that they have for their girls. But in certain cases, when a girl attains the age of puberty, she becomes more attractive, and you see some men, the ladies start getting male attention. And these mothers felt they didn't want their girls to experience terrible things such as rape, such as harassment, teenage pregnancies, and in what cases, early marriages. Because, there are also instances of girls that have been married at a very young age and then, they were unable to fulfill their dreams in life. They got married, they had kids, and that was it. So many African mothers didn't want this to happen to their girls. So what did they do? They started removing every trace of puberty from their girls, every formation of breasts. They didn't want it to be visible to anyone. And that is why they did this, so that their girls would not receive any attention from the opposite sex or tarnish the family name when she becomes pregnant, raped, or defiled or violated at an early age. So that is why many mothers did this, because of they wanted their daughters to be less womanly. They didn't want people to know that their daughters had, you know, started looking pleasing to the eye of young men, basically.
So, as an activist, tell me one day, how is it that you think that? Do you think that one can talk to these mothers, or there's a certain strata from where they come, or is it spread across all economic? It breaks economic barriers, because I would like to believe that if somebody is educated, they would question this, because in India, a whole lot of atrocities is spread across. Even today, in many homes, you would find girls, when they get married, they carry huge amount of dowry, and sometimes they don't use the word dowry, but cash is given to the boy, and so it's always very, very skewed, towards the patriarchy that is omnipotent, omnipresent all over the world. But in your experience, having been a lawyer, having done this sort of writing and work in this segment. Do you think this is only at in sections where the mothers are uneducated, or it's also among the ones who have gone into school or college?
Well, I actually think that what we may say that education plays a great role because you expect that somebody that's educated will not allow certain things like this to be done to their children. But I would also say that culture is very powerful, and sometimes one may not be able to shake it off because it's in depth, it's deep, it's firmly entrenched. So I think belief system is what matters. These mothers, they have to be taught, they have to know. Culture is a very powerful thing. And you find out that apart from being educated, there are some people that still believe in these things. And you'll be shocked to know that they are educated and they know that it is wrong, but they still do it. So, what could possibly be their reason for still doing it? It's the culture, it's the belief system that is deeply entrenched in them, which makes them believe that no matter what they are taught, they still have to go the ways of their forefathers. So I think it just comes with stopping that belief system that, oh, this is what our fathers did in the past, and then we have to do it too. And I don't believe that anyone should use culture as an excuse to unleash violence on any other person, especially when that person
Absolutely.
has not attained the age of consent. And we shouldn't hurt young girls because we are holding them responsible for the attention that men are giving to them.
It's never about the men who needs to be educated. It's always about the
Exactly.
girls who have to be careful, you know.
Yes.
And this is
Yes. And you know
across
how
Yewande. It is not just isolated to Africa. It's across. You know, if a girl is
exactly.
teased on the street, I mean, you know, they'll always the first question if you're harassed because, you know, they will ask you, "Oh my God, did you do something wrong?" And this
Yes.
is
But
what
what did you
happened.
wear?
What did you wear? Was your cleavage showing? And these are the questions I've been subjected to
Exactly.
when I was growing up, you know. And I do remember that whenever I ever came back and told an aunt or a cousin, you know, that, you know, this has happened and somebody has said this to me or somebody has touched me in a way that I felt uncomfortable, it was always about, were you too friendly? Did you smile too much? Did you talk too much? You know,
Yes.
and that's where they kill your personality. And, you know, they continue to carry on that culture, as we you were mentioning, you know, of keeping a person, you know, completely caught and not allowed to question these the system ever,
Patriarchy system. Yes.
the patriarchal system. Yes. So about genital mutilation, which part of Africa does it happen? Because I've read a lot about it. It happens also in India, you know, in a certain it's a ritual that's done, you know, in a certain community. And so which part of Africa does this sort of and you know, is does the law and order really get into this, or is it accepted? And if a girl who is sensible enough to go and report, will this be taken into cognizance?
Well, apart from in Africa, I would talk about my country specifically. I'm from Nigeria, and it happens in Nigeria, particularly in the northern parts of Nigeria. Now, with genital mutilation, just like breast ironing, it happens within the private spaces of people's homes.
Yes.
So people don't really talk about it. And you know, when this happens, it the girl is still a child. There is
Yes.
basically no one to defend her except for her mother. So, and you have cases where the mothers don't speak out. Like just in the news last week, there was this mother that spoke out that her daughter had undergone female genital mutilation, and it was done without her consent. That the father simply took the daughter to see the grandmother, the girl's grandmother. And by the time they brought the child back, they had already done a lot on her. And the mother was crying for help, asking for Nigerians to help her, that she didn't know how they went about it. Nobody talked to her about it. It was done without her consent. So this is just one of the many cases where so much is done to the girl and she's mutilated at a very young age, and there's nobody to speak to. And there's nobody to take up the case, because I'm particularly following this case and nothing has been done about it so far. So this is just one out of the many cases where somebody speaks out, nothing is done. And this also forces other people to just keep quiet, because one, the shame that comes with it, they are shamed, they are blamed for letting it happen. You know, nobody looks at the perpetrator of the act,
Oh, they never do.
the mother. Yes.
Yes.
they look at the mother like, why didn't you hold your child? Why did you let someone else take your child? And where were you? Those are the questions that they ask. They don't ask,
Yes.
okay, what can we do about this situation? How can we help? How can we take it up? So for Nigeria, I can speak for my country that it still happens to today.
Yes, and even today, actually, I can speak for India that, when you have rape victims, they don't talk about it many times, because they are always so scared that it's never about the person not never. Yes, of course, rape cases are taken very seriously in our country too.
Yeah.
But in many cases, they don't talk about it because they are so scared of getting, of society really going down on them and looking down at them for the atrocity that she has faced. And invariably, they will hide in shame because it's something that they feel ashamed about. And it again goes down to this deep rooted culture about how a woman should be, what is it that she should do, and how should she be seen. So genital mutilation also happens in India, in some parts of India, which is again not reported at all very, very hugely. But yes, there are little reports that come out. And there's some horrific stories also in my own country. And, women like you, me, where we work, and try and give a voice for issues, for people to be aware. And I am really very hopeful about the next generation. And I believe that, when they are, when they're listening to this podcast and they are listening to you, and this is my first podcast with somebody from Africa, from Nigeria. And and it is such an honor, to have you today with me and to know that we sisters are all united together, and we are all, in some form or the other, facing some sort of patriarchal, atrocity. And it's every day and it's part of our everyday culture. And we are just not even begun questioning so much more that still happens. It goes down to our mindset of being okay with the way we are spoken to, with the way we are judged for our clothes, the way ill-treated, and the list is endless. But thank you so much, Yewande, for this conversation today. And Yewande's articles can be found on writing platforms such as Medium, Belanija, have I got that right?
Yes.
Belanija,
right.
Sahara Reporters, and .civics, right?
.civics, yes.
.civics. So Yewande, thank you so very much. And Yewande can also be reached on an Instagram page. It's called Adeleke, and she writes regularly on Medium, as I said, as Yewande Adeleke. Thank you so much, Yewande.
Thank you so much.
Lots and lots of love, and thank you so much for being on today's episode.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye. To you, our dearest listeners, you can find us on your favorite streaming services, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and of course on all other major streaming services. With loads of love, we are The Mohua Show, where we talk ईमानदारी से.